what we're going to try to do now is, just for the fun of it, go through the 24 starters, including special team kickers,
Absolutely,
and give them a letter grade. So, Iggy, why don't you kick it off? If you don't mind, let's start with the defense at the back end.
Okay, let's start with Jimmy Ward, the free safety. And I've already gone through, I've given letter grades for each of them. I've basically given A's, B's, and C's. I haven't given pluses and minuses. I don't have any D's here.
Okay.
Figure if you're a starter, you should at least be a C on this team.
Sure.
You can disagree. And if you want to add pluses, minuses, A plus pluses, triple pluses, you're welcome to. But this is where I'm starting from, okay? Jimmy Ward, the starting free safety. Now, call me biased because he just came on my show. I'm going to give him an A. I've heard the case he's made for himself. He's saying he's the best coverage safety in the league. He can play corner. He's so good at coverage. That's true. The only real knock against him is that he doesn't produce a lot of turnovers. Hard to do when you're covering people and people are throwing the ball the other way, and that he gets hurt. Well, he hasn't really got hurt much the last 2 years. So I'm going to give him an A.
I agree. I'd give him an A.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, no quarrel there. So, a good place to start with an A at free safety.
When we finish this, the whole team, we can go back and count. I already have the number, like how many A's the Niners have in their starting lineup, how many B's, how many C's, and see where they stand. So far, 1A, they're starting free safety. Starting strong safety, Jacquarsky Tart. Tart's interesting. In a lot of ways, he's like Ward. He's great in coverage. He's bigger than Ward. He's not quite as fast as Ward, but he can cover bigger receivers, and he can cover all kind of stuff. He can play free safety, strong safety. He's really good. Problem with Tart is that he gets hurt every year, or really he has, and he misses about half the year. So as good as he is, you can't give him an A. He's not I wouldn't say he's a C player. A C player is someone who's replaceable. I think he's an asset when he's on the field. So I'm going to give him a B.
Sounds good to me. And if he didn't get hurt so much, you'd give him an A, right?
I would. I think he's a lot like Jimmy Ward.
Okay, so he is a B because he gets hurt, and that's serious.
Right, no question. But he's a B with the potential to be an A because Jimmy Ward was in the same place as Tart, getting hurt every year, and then all of a sudden he's not. So we'll see. All right, next, let's go to the cornerbacks. Jason Verret, starting corner, here last year. He was hurt a lot of years before he got here, but he was great last year. And he was great a few years ago on the Chargers. He's done it twice. Basically, when he's healthy, he's great. He's about 5'9", 5'10". So there are some 6'4" wide receivers he doesn't match up well with, but everyone 6'2" and below has a really tough time against Jason Verret. I'm giving him an A.
I'm giving him an A, and I want to say, in a way, he brought that whole secondary together, Iggy.
He absolutely did.
Yeah, so if we were giving pluses and minuses, and let's not, he might get a plus.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, yes. He's a former first-round pick who plays like it. He just got so many injuries for like 4 years, but now he's good. And, you know, the funny thing was last year, he didn't really get healthy until week 3. He was hurt in training camp. This year, he's been healthy all offseason. He might be even better this year. And one thing about being hurt all the time, he didn't play. So he's relatively fresh for a 29-year-old, 30-year-old corner.
Iggy, I hope that you get, if you're allowed into the locker room, that you get to meet him and talk to him. I'd like to know what he's like.
He would be very interesting. Absolutely. Yes. Domain Threat says not too many issues with the starters. It's the depth where most of the concern lies. Too many first-round misses taking its toll. That's a good point. Maybe one day we can go over the depth, but today we're doing starters. All right. So we've got 3 guys down, 2 A's and a B. The other starting corner, Emmanuel Mosley. They gave him a new contract this year. He's getting a couple of $1 million. They kept him over at Kello Witherspoon and Richard Sherman. He played in the Super Bowl with them. He's been a starter for 2 years, off and on. He's a solid player. You could do worse. I'd give him a C. That's not a bad player. He's a solid player. You could definitely do worse. He's a decent starting cornerback in the league. But the Niners did draft a corner in round 3 this year, Ambry Thomas, who is going to take Emmanuel Mosley's job eventually, the way Trey Lance is going to take Jimmy Garoppolo's job eventually. That's the expectation. So the idea is the Niners will upgrade from a C to a B or an A eventually. But for right now, they have a nice place holding C at corner.
Fine by me. I have a question for you.
Yes.
What keeps Mosley from being a B?
He's not physically gifted. He was an undrafted free agent. So he's a little skinny. He's a little small. He's about 5'10". He's not that strong. But he's really competitive. He's really confident. He can't match up with the best wide receivers in the league, but he's right there at the catch point. I mean, he doesn't get beat by much, and he's very competitive. So he can hold his own against backup wide receivers, ordinary wide receivers. It's just the elite ones that he can't quite keep up with because they're first-round picks, and he wasn't.
It sounds like you respect him.
I absolutely respect him. He's in that class of player like Nick Mullins, Ross Dwelly, Jeff Wilson Jr., undrafted free agents who really shouldn't be in the NFL and have made it based on determination, work ethic, professionalism, all that stuff, which I respect.
Okay.
So he's a high-level C, considering how, he's not like an underperforming first-round pick. He's an overperforming undrafted free agent. And those guys are good.
Love it.
Domain says Alex Mack will be the most important upgrade amongst the starters this year. Cannot overstate how important the center position is in this offense. Well, we're going to get to Alex Mack. Don't you worry. He's getting excited. Domain threat. He's already donated $15. Thank you.
Yeah,
very much.
Defense, but we're getting there.
Domain Threat's a great guy. He was donating all day yesterday. Thank you very much. I appreciate it. All right. Moving on. I want to do another corner. It used to be the starting defense was 3 linebackers, 4 defensive backs, but really football's changed. And most of the time the defense is playing with 5 defensive backs, a nickel. And that third linebacker is really more of a backup. So I'm going to say Juan Williams is a starter. And Juan Williams is a hell of a player. He's not great in man-to-man coverage because he's 5'9". There's a lot of tall, same with Verret, a lot of tall guys who can beat him, a lot of fast guys who can beat him, but in zone coverage, he's great. He's great at blitzing. He forces fumbles. He recovers fumbles. He was Robert Saleh's kind of favorite chess piece. Robert Saleh says he likes using the pawn. This was his secret weapon pawn. He's real small. You can't really see him. And all of a sudden he's sacking the quarterback. Only problem is he misses games too. So I'd put him in the Jacquarsky Tart B range. Good player who getting a little old for a DB and may not be able to play a full season anymore.
He gets hurt.
Yeah, he played 8 games last year, and that's a problem. But when he does play, he's almost like the Kyle Juszczyk of the defense. You forget about him, but he's a playmaker. He's very important.
Iggy, before we move on, that unit, all 5, that's one hell of a unit.
It is one hell of a unit. It used to be a weakness, but
yes,
they've gotten all these guys who've really come into their own in their late 20s, early 30s, and they're terrific.
Good for them.
I mean, really, just Jimmy Ward and Jason Verret are quite a duo to have in your secondary. And then to have guys who are questionable with Juan Williams and Jacquarsky Tart, those guys are really good players when they're there. And they're there right now. So it's one of the better secondaries in the league, surprisingly.
Yes, and we used to say, really even last season, they build in an old way from the front to the back and skimp on the back end. Now they're strong there.
Yes. Well, they got Jason Verret basically at a 5 and dime store. He was secondhand, and that one worked out. And they inherited Jimmy Ward and hung on to him to their credit. Same with Jacquarsky Tart. So they haven't really made big time investments, but the investments they have made have really paid off. So good for them.